My name is Russell Staples. I grew up in South Africa and served in the church for about 20 years in Africa, and then came to Andrews and taught here, and we've been here for a while. I'm recalling, and I've been through the materials I've collected over the years of the beginnings of Adventism in South Africa, going back to the very early days. D.A. Robinson remained in Cape Town, and he pitched a tent. He had taken a tent with him, or he got a tent, I'm not sure, and he pitched it up on the side of the mountain with a small tent next to it where he and his wife lived for a little while they were holding meetings and so on. And it wasn't a large city at those days, but that was the center while he was there. But he wasn't going to stay very long in Cape Town. He was returning to England. And so Ira John Hankins came out, and he arrived in Cape Town in 1888. And the story of his arrival is interesting. He thought that they would be at the boat to meet him when he arrived, but there was nobody there. As they had been arriving, he was wondering where they were with this tent, and he obviously had binoculars with him, and he looked all over Cape Town, and eventually up towards the mountain a little. He saw a little white something, and he thought, perhaps that is the tent. With nobody to meet him when they came there, they finally took a cab, really a rider with a little horse and a wagon, and they said, where are you going? And he said, well, we don't really know, but up there somewhere there's a little white tent, and do you know about that? No. He said, well, go up there and ride around. And they went around and they eventually found it, and he said, this must be it. And they unloaded it, but there was the tent and the little one where Robinson was, and no one was there, but they unloaded, and he sat on the baggage, and eventually Robinson came, and there they were with surprising, and they worked together for quite a while as they were in Cape Town. And so that was the second now sort of major issue of the church, Cape Town, which was the city where they were governed there, and so on. I don't know the details of the work, but they got some following there. Then they moved the tent to Mowbray, about maybe 3 or 4 miles further east, and they held meetings there. And then they moved to Claremont, which is another maybe 5 miles from the center of Cape Town, a beautiful area, Claremont, where later the division office was organized, the union was organized. And at Claremont, their work was very successful. There was a group there. They pitched a tent and began to work, and quite a few people came. These were not large cities at those times. Among the people that eventually became Adventists there was Herbert Edmead, the Cummins, another Robinson, Ernest Ingle, and some others. The Ingle story is interesting. Ernest Ingle and his wife were fairly recent immigrants from Britain. They had a business, and there's still in Claremont a road called Ingle Street, I-N-G-L-E. They were walking past the tent, and his wife said, what is this, a tent? This is no place to hold a church. If one thinks of coming in the presence of God in worship, the tent and all of this. But they did attend the tent one day, and listened to the Sabbath story and all the rest, and decided, no, we need to help this man get rid of all these errors. let's invite him to lunch. And so they invited Ira Hankins to lunch on Sabbath, but the persuasion went the other way. Hankins persuaded them, and they in due course became Adventist, a group, and Claremont became the Center for Quote of Church.